Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know how we always get into the nitty-gritty of big policy stuff? Well, buckle up, because today we're diving headfirst into something that hits home for all of us: how much we're shelling out. A new way forward for the middle class. That's the plan we're unpacking today.
And it's a big one.
It really is. They're making some pretty bold claims about making things more affordable and opening doors for folks. We're going to break it all down and see if it holds up.
What's got my attention is the laser focus on the middle class. I mean, they're really honing in on the struggles everyday people are facing, talking about real relief and how to make it happen.
Right. And it's not just like small-scale stuff. We're talking tax cuts, housing. They even want to ban price gouging on a federal level. That's huge.
Huge is right. And you know what else? Experts are actually saying this could be a good thing for the economy. Goldman Sachs, Moody's Analytics, they've both weighed in.
Okay, so it's not just hype. There might be some real substance here, but let's get into the weeds a bit. One thing that jumped out at me was their approach to taxes, especially for families.
Totally. Putting money right back in families' pockets, that's the idea. They're talking about bumping the child tax credit way up to $3,600 per kid. That's an extra $300 a month for most families, just imagine. Diapers, groceries, gas in the car. That could make a real difference.
No kidding. And it's not just for the little ones either. Newborns. There's a $6,000 tax cut on the table for families with newborns. Plus, they're giving the earned income tax credit a boost. Seems like working families are front and center here.
Absolutely. But it's not all about tax breaks. They're also looking at the cost of living head-on. First up, groceries.
Oh, don't even get me started. Every time I go to the store, it feels like the prices have doubled.
Tell me about it. But they've got this whole idea about making food supply chains more resilient. Think about it. When there's a natural disaster, or remember the pandemic, everything gets thrown off, prices go haywire. By making the supply chain tougher, we're less likely to see those crazy price spikes.
That makes a lot of sense. But we need to deal with the prices we're facing right now, not just prevent future ones.
Absolutely. And that's where they're taking a multi-pronged approach. Think revitalizing competition. They're talking about really going after those unfair mergers where big companies swallow up the little guys, prices go up, competition goes down. Not good.
Right. Got to keep those big fish in check. And they're going after price fixing, too.
That's right. When companies collude to keep prices high artificially, that's a no-go. They're trying to level the playing field, make sure consumers aren't getting taken advantage of.
I'm all for that. But you know what really threw me? This whole thing about banning price gouging, that's not even a federal law yet.
It's wild, right? It's mostly handled at the state level right now. But some states are way ahead of the curve.
Oh, yeah. Like, who? Give me the rundown.
We'll take Texas. After Hurricane Harvey, remember how badly that hit? They went after hotels and gas stations that were trying to make a quick buck off people's misery, jacking up prices during a crisis, not on their watch. They slapped those businesses with lawsuits, got settlements for the people who were overcharged.
Now that's what I'm talking about, holding those businesses accountable. So it's not just talk. These state-level things are actually making a difference. Any other states doing cool stuff in this area?
Oh, tons. North Carolina has been killing it, actually. Their attorney general has been going after price gougers like crazy. Since 2018, they've gotten over $1 million back for consumers.
$1 million. That's amazing. So these price gouging laws actually have teeth.
They do. And get this, they had one case that settled for a record $274,000.
Wow. Okay, so they mean business. What other examples come to mind?
Well, New York's been really active too, especially during the pandemic. Remember all the supply chain issues, people were panicking. Well, they actually went after this one company that was charging almost 5 times the normal price for eggs.
5 times the price for eggs. That's insane. People taking advantage of a crisis like that just rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And it's not just limited to natural disasters either. Florida's Attorney General went after some motels that were totally ripping off people who had to evacuate during Hurricane Matthew, jacking up prices when folks have nowhere else to go. Not cool.
So this price gouging thing, it can happen anytime, anywhere. Good thing some states are on it. Makes you wonder why we don't have a federal law already.
Very tight. It's a conversation we definitely need to have. But let's switch gears for a sec. Let's talk healthcare costs. Another one of those big burdens on everyone's minds.
Ugh, tell me about it. It feels like healthcare costs are always going up. What's the plan there?
Okay, so they've got 2 main things they're looking at. First, remember those tax credits from the Affordable Care Act that save people on average about $800 a year? They want to make those permanent.
It was huge for a lot of people.
It was. But they're not stopping there. They're also trying to make the whole healthcare system more competitive and transparent, which is always a good thing when it comes to lowering prices.
Transparency is key. But let's be real, the biggest issue in healthcare, the one everyone's talking about, is prescription drug costs. It's heartbreaking, people having to choose between their meds and putting food on the table.
It's a real problem, and this plan, it might actually make a big difference here. They're taking what worked with the Inflation Reduction Act and running with it.
And the Inflation Reduction Act had some big wins, negotiating drug prices directly with those big pharma companies, capping out-of-pocket costs for seniors on Medicare at $2,000, and, of course, the $35 insulin cap, also for seniors.
Huge wins. But now imagine if everyone, regardless of age, had access to those benefits.
Wait, so we're talking $35 insulin for everyone who needs it? That would be life-changing, especially for folks who rely on it every single day.
Absolutely. And you know how many Americans are skipping essential medications right now because they just can't swing it? Almost 10 million. This plan could be a game changer for those folks.
That's a lot of people finally getting the medication they desperately need.
It's about time, right?
It's amazing to think about all those people finally getting the medicine they need. But while we're on this roll, let's keep the good vibes going. How about those energy bills everyone's been sweating? What's the plan got for those?
Okay, so big picture here is energy independence. This new way forward thing, they're saying the Inflation Reduction Act is already making moves, boosting how much energy we make right here at home. The idea is less reliance on those foreign sources means more stable prices, and we're less vulnerable.
Right, makes total sense. But what does that mean for the average Joe, for their wallet? How's that going to translate into actual savings?
Well, they're really pushing these tax credits for home energy upgrades. We're talking up to 30% off stuff like heat pumps, better insulation, even rooftop solar. Make your home more efficient, spend less on keeping the lights on.
Wait, hold up. 30% off rooftop solar? That's huge.
Right. And they're saying the average household could save something like $5,000 a year with these upgrades. Plus, for anyone who needs that extra help, there's always the low-income home energy assistance program, right? It helps with energy bills, weatherization, all that.
Okay, so it's not just big ideas, it's actual ways for people to see that difference in their bank accounts, starting right now. I love that. But while we're talking about saving money, those annoying little fees that sneak up on you, the junk fees, what's the deal with those?
Oof, tell me about it. It's crazy how those little charges add up so fast.
I know. I read somewhere that the average household, they're shelling out over $650 a year just on those junk fees. Bonkers. So what's the plan? What are they going to do about it?
They're going straight for those hidden charges.
Yeah.
Scams, straight up fraud, and yeah, all those hidden fees that seem to pop up everywhere you look. They're on it.
Seriously, it's like every time you turn around, bam, another fee.
Right. Transparency and pricing, that's what they're going for, and I'm here for it.
Transparency is key. Okay, so we've covered how this plan is going to make things cheaper, hopefully. But what about the other side of this new way forward thing? Building opportunities, how do they even begin to tackle that?
Well, they're starting with one of the biggest issues people are facing right now. Housing. Get this. They're calling for the biggest push to increase housing supplies since World War II.
Whoa, okay, that's a bold statement. But with rent and mortgages sky high, something's got to give.
For sure. And one thing that really stands out is this down payment assistance for first-time homebuyers. We're talking $25,000. That could be the difference maker for a family trying to get their foot in the door, you know, start building some equity.
That's huge. So many people are totally priced out of owning a home these days. But is that really going to be enough to make a dent in this housing crisis?
To start, right? The plan, it gets that saving for a down payment is a nightmare, especially now. 2/3 of renters, they say that's the biggest thing holding them back from buying a place. This assistance could be the difference between renting forever and finally making that leap into homeownership.
It's like they're trying to revive that whole American dream thing, one down payment at a time.
Right. And they're not just focused on buying a home either. They want to make renting less of a pain too. More housing choices, more affordable places to live, and more support for renters who are barely making ends meet as is.
Okay, so they're coming at this housing thing from all sides. That's good. But let's shift gears a bit. Talk about small businesses. Those are the heart of everything, right? Creating jobs, keeping the economy going. How's this plan going to help them out?
Okay, get this. They have this goal of 25 million new businesses. And the thing is, entrepreneurship is already booming.
Seriously, in this economy.
No, seriously, business applications are way up. We're talking 50% higher in 2024 than they were back in 2019. People want to start their own thing. This plan is all about giving those dreamers the tools they need to actually make it happen.
That's amazing, but starting a business is tough. It takes guts, and let's be real, it takes cash, which can be hard to come by when you're just starting out. How are they going to make sure entrepreneurs have the money they need?
Okay, one big thing is this startup expense deduction.
Yeah.
They're talking about taking it from $5,000 to $50,000.
Whoa, that's a huge jump.
Right. It's like saying, we believe in you, go make your dreams a reality. And they're also all about cutting through the red tape. Those permits, licenses, all the regulations that can make starting a business such a pain. They want to streamline that whole process.
Oh, don't remind me. I spent months trying to navigate the permit process for a small business I wanted to start. It was a nightmare.
Exactly. So anything they can do to make that easier is a win for small businesses, right? Frees up time, resources, lets them focus on actually building something great. And this is especially important for rural areas, places that don't always get as much support. Leveling the playing field, giving everyone a fair shot. That's the idea.
I love that, because your zip code shouldn't determine whether you can achieve your dreams. But it's not just about the number of jobs. It's about the quality of those jobs, right?
100%. They talk a lot about workers' rights, raising wages, making sure people are getting a fair deal, and the care economy. They want to strengthen that, which is huge, especially for women and people of color who often work in those jobs.
Yes, it's about time those jobs got the respect and support they deserve. Okay, so we've got lower costs, hopefully more opportunities, better jobs, all focused on the middle class. But how do we make sure all this good stuff reaches everyone, not just certain areas?
This is where they get into this whole inclusive growth idea. And they're really clear about it. It's not just about big cities. It's about everyone. Rural communities, different political views. Doesn't matter. They're trying to lift everyone up.
Because we're all in this together, right? A rising tide lifts all boats. But I gotta say, it often feels like some areas get left behind.
They know that. They actually point out that a lot of the recent investments have really helped Republican-leaning areas.
Yeah.
Like that $13.9 billion battery manufacturing plant in North Carolina. That's huge. And North Carolina, not exactly a blue state, right?
Okay, so they're putting their money where their mouth is, even in places that might not always vote for them. I can respect that. But what about rural communities? Those often feel overlooked.
They've got a whole section on strengthening rural communities, expanding the Rural Partners Network, which is all about bringing those communities together with different resources. And they talk a lot about how rural areas are going to benefit from the investments in the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, the GHES Act, the Inflation Reduction Act, all that good stuff. Broadband internet, clean energy jobs, better roads and bridges. It's all on the table.
Finally. Rural communities have so much to offer, it's about time someone invested in them. So they're making an effort to make sure everyone benefits, not just certain groups.
Okay, what about retirement? That's a big one, especially as people get older.
Totally. They talk about protecting Social Security and Medicare, which everyone's worried about, right? Making sure those programs are there for future generations, that's the goal. That's good to hear, because those programs are lifelines for a lot of people. It sounds like they've really thought of everything, every aspect of creating a more secure future for everyone. But is it too good to be true? I mean, it all sounds great on paper, but how do we know it's actually going to work? It does sound almost too good to be true, right? So how do we measure it? How do we know if this new way forward is actually going to live up to the hype?
That's where those independent analyses come in. Remember we talked about Goldman Sachs and Moody's? They've run the numbers, and from what they can tell, this plan could actually make a difference. We could see some real economic growth, new jobs being created.
Okay, so it's not just some pie-in-the-sky idea. There's actual data to back it up. That's reassuring.
It is, because at the end of the day, we want to see those results, right? Not just a bunch of fancy promises, but actual improvements in people's lives.
Exactly. And that's what this is all about, isn't it? Giving people the information they need to understand what's going on, what these plans might mean for them, their families, their communities.
It's about empowering people to make informed decisions. And that's what we've tried to do today. Break down this complex plan, look at it from all angles, so you can decide for yourself what it all means.
We've gone deep on this new way forward plan. The good, the maybe not so good, what it could mean for your wallet, your job, your home, your health even. We talked about what's promising, what hurdles they're going to have to overcome. But most importantly, we talked about the importance of staying informed and thinking critically.
Now it's your turn. Take this information, let it simmer, see how it connects with your own life, your own values.
What parts of this plan really resonate with you? What questions are still swirling around in your head? These are the conversations we need to be having.
Because change doesn't happen in a vacuum. It happens when we all engage, stay curious, and keep asking those tough questions.
Absolutely. So that's it for today's deep dive. But remember, this is just the beginning. Keep learning, keep exploring, and let's keep this conversation going. Until next time, everyone, take care. See you next time.